I never thought I would have the opportunity to speak to not only one of those voices, but one of the people that wrote that song. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Los Angeles, California, it's Mr. Mike Love. Good evening or good afternoon, Mike?
Well, good evening. I mean, it definitely is evening your time.
What time is it in LA? It's about 4:30 in the afternoon there, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. But I have a slight correction. I'm in the San Diego, California area at the moment.
Oh, then you can't be the real Mike Love. We know that you only.
Yeah, well, Mike Love gets around.
Hey, Mike, listen, man, it's such a thrill to talk to you. I have been a Beach Boys fan my whole life. I've seen you guys in various incarnations throughout the decades. I've read the book, Good Vibrations, My Life as a Beach Boy. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. You will have missed it. The first song we played when we were waiting for you was Only With You from the Holland album. I think it's one of the great Beach Boys records. It's just stunning. How did that come about?
It's a sweet song, yes. It's just one of those sweet songs, like similar to All I Want to Do.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's another beautiful, sweet, sentimental song, you know. Because, you know, some of the songs we've done, as you know, are a bit more dynamic, such as Surfing USA and I Get Around and Fun, Fun, Fun.
Yeah.
But for that matter, Heroes and Villains. But yeah, some of those softer, sweeter ballads are with those beautiful harmonies. They're wonderful.
The blend of the voices, and I really think it's because you are a family, or you were a family. It's you and your cousins, and they are brothers. The blend of voices on those soft songs. I mean, the a cappella version of Add Some Music there. It's just there's something so pure about that sound. You must have known early on you had something magical there.
Well, yeah, and you know what? The first family group that inspired us was the Everly Brothers.
Yeah.
You know, their beautiful blend. Of course, it was only 2-part harmony, and we took it to 4 as a result of, you know, our love for the choral harmonies and the Four Freshmen and the church music and doo-wop music. It was all an influence. But our obsession's always been to try to blend. It's when you can sing a note, and various people can sing notes, but sometimes the voices don't blend. But that's always been our obsession, if you will, is to merge the individuality into the group sound, and that gives you the opportunity to actually blend and harmonize so beautifully.
Mike, I saw you at the Royal Albert Hall when you played here. Was it last year? I get confused. It all goes so quickly. And with respect, sir, you are in your 70s, and your voice is sounding better than it sounded for a long, long time. And it was a full-on 2.5-hour show with you at the front for the whole thing. How do you still manage to do it and sound so good?
Well, I think the thing is, one thing I learned the hard way, that you can't go out and party and destroy your voice and drink too much and smoke and just live just an insane lifestyle and be a great vocal group. You just don't. It just doesn't work that way. So we learned very early on, if we're going to maintain the quality of our vocals and the harmonies, we have to live a sensible lifestyle, which was just fine with me ever since I learned meditation from Maharishi, Transcendental Meditation. That's been a real big lifesaver, and that also gives you more energy because you're absolutely able to drop your metabolism to a level of rest twice as deep as deep sleep. Yeah. So it's profoundly restful. So that gives you some energy and clarity, and so that all goes together along with a sensible lifestyle. That gives you the energy and clarity and longevity.
I have to thank you, Mike, because I learned TM when I was about 17 because of you lot. Because you lot, you know, were so you did some brilliant songs about it as well. But it kind of got me interested, and I went and learned it, and it's great. You know, 35 years later on, I still use it. Not 35, 25. God, I'm not that old. But I still use it, and it's great. It's great for getting rid of the stress and just having 20 minutes, you know, to yourself and focusing a bit. So thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome, and that's wonderful to hear. And I wish more people would try it. I think it'd be a better world.
What was it like for you, Mike? I'm always interested when bands have had their huge success, and they quite often go into a fallow period. Now, a lot of bands break up, but you guys stuck together and made, in my opinion, some of the most interesting work. You know, the Friends 2020, Wild Honey, the Sunflower album. What was it like when things changed a little bit and you weren't as huge? You talk in your book about you struggled sometimes to fill halls, small halls in the late 60s as the Beach Boys. What was that like for you guys?
Well, every decade, every generation has their musical heroes, and so some people, as you say, break up. Some people go away. Some people drop out. Some people die.
Yeah.
And so there are all different kinds of reasons for not, for levels of success changing. In our case, we came to the end of our record contract with Capitol Records. And we were in somewhat disarray. I mean, Brian had been doing some things he should not have been doing, and so had Carl and Dennis, and we were, there was a divisiveness in the group based on lifestyle choices. But there are several of us that maintained a bit more of a sensible lifestyle choice, I would put it, and carried on. And so I think that's normal for people to have ups and downs in their careers. I think it's quite normal. But the beautiful thing about the Beach Boys is we have such a body of music. We have so many incredible hits that 55 years after we started, we can step out on stage and people love what we do, whether it be the surfing songs, the car songs, California Girls, Barbara Ann, Good Vibrations, Kokomo, you name it. People love it, and we do too.
And they do. And I'm 43. I've got two little boys who are 6 and 4, and they love it as well. They love those songs. Those songs are timeless. We had Dean Torrance on last week from Jan and Dean, a good friend of yours, of course. And we were talking about this. Pop from the 60s wasn't meant to last as long as it has lasted. It was disposable. It was throwaway. But you're right. The body of work that the Beach Boys has is incredible.
Yeah. And the thing is, those songs from the 60s, what a time period. Not only did you have the Beatles, not only did you have the Beach Boys, not only did you have the Rolling Stones and many others, but you had Motown as well, and all the great R&B stuff that was going on. I mean, what a tremendous time for music in the 60s. And so those songs, they're so iconic and so great that they stand this test of time, and every generation will enjoy them. Maybe they'll be, all into Taylor Swift or it could have been Amy Winehouse or Adele or any number of people who are great singers and great artists.
Sorry, Mike. Did you enjoy the competition?
Pardon me?
Did you enjoy the competition with the Beatles and with the Stones and with? I always get when I see clips of you guys from performing on TV from the 60s. You're obviously having a fantastic time. Who wouldn't? You're in the flipping Beach Boys, for God's sakes. But did you enjoy the rivalry, particularly between you and the Beatles?
Actually, it was great because it was a mutual admiration society. I'm not kidding. I was in India when Paul McCartney came down to the breakfast table at Mauritius Place playing Back in the USSR and his acoustic guitar. I was the first one, maybe other than Jane Asher, to hear that song.
Wow.
Because she was over there as well. The Beatles brought their wives and girlfriends there, and I was on came solo because my wife was pregnant with our second child. Anyway, so it was a mutual admiration society. I mean, how could you not be thrilled by listening to Sgt. Pepper's?
Yeah.
As well as they appreciated Pet Sounds album tremendously. So it was not negative in the least, but there was competition. There's no doubt about that. But competition makes you better. If you have somebody who's really good it makes you try to do the absolute best you can, and that's how it was.
Can I ask you, Mike, what are your memories of Sunflower? For me, that's my favourite Beach Boys album, and I think it was quite a big hit over here in the UK. Not as big as some of the earlier records, but I just wondered what your memories were of making that. Whether was it a peaceful recording, or was there stress involved? What was going on?
What song could you mention in particular that might?
Oh, okay. Well, Forever is the one that springs to mind. The Dennis song.
Yeah. Well, that was a great song by Dennis. It was a beautiful song. It was done by John Stamos and Full House when Uncle Jesse got married. He chose to re-record the lead on Forever, and we did the backgrounds for him. In fact, whenever John comes out and plays with us, which he does on occasion, he likes to do Forever, and we back him up on it. But yeah, I think that was probably my cousin Dennis's my favorite song of his.
And a great song.
He wrote several.
Oh, he was great. A great song of yours beautiful on there as well. Sorry, Mike. There's a slight delay. A great song of yours on there. All I Want to Do. I mean, that your vocal on that is it's kind of really laid back, man, and in the groove, and it's a great sound.
It really is. It's a beautiful, sentimental song. It's just so sweet, and I get a lot of requests from people to do that song. And they, true fans, people are really into the Beach Boys. They love that song. They ask me all the time to do it.
I saw a great picture on your Facebook page a couple of weeks ago. You got reunited with a saxophone that you'd lost about 50 years ago. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
It's the best story.
From Australia, and it was amazing. And these people the saxophone was left behind, and somebody just put it in the basement, and the fellow passed away, and then his relatives were going through it, and this was left somewhere in Ohio. And yes, I was reunited with it about a month ago. It was pretty amazing. Still had the sticker from Australia on it. The case.
It's a brilliant picture. The book, Good Vibrations, My Life as a Beach Boy, I'm really surprised by the honesty in it, because quite often showbiz autobiographies, they kind of go, well, we did this, and then we did this, and it kind of glosses over stuff. But you address... Well, you talk about, when you used to smoke dope and you used to drink a bit and you felt a little bit lost. But you do address a lot of the issues that I was perhaps expecting. You speak very openly about relationships, with wives and with the other members of the Beach Boys. Was it hard to be so open? And did did people around you say, well, maybe you don't want to say that? Or what's the process, Mike?
No, it's not hard for me to discuss really what happened. If it's true and it happened, then I have no problem with it. What was difficult, though, and I did an audio recording of the book.
Wow.
I sat for 3.5 days in my studio in Lake Tahoe and read the book. So I have an audio recording of it available.
Brilliant.
So what was hard there was talking about my cousin Carl Wilson's last show and him being in a wheelchair and looking around at the names on the dressing rooms and that kind of thing, and knowing that it was going to be his last show, or the death of a loved one, my sister dying of cancer, or my grandparents or my parents. I mean, that's hard to talk about, but it's part of the life. We all lose people, we all lose loved ones, and my cousin, in addition to my cousin Carl, my cousin Dennis, I mean, we had our definite falling outs over things, but on the other hand, we grew up together, and he's the one that called me to say, come to Paris. We were in London. He said, come back to Paris. Maurice is going to teach us to meditate, and so. Even when he was, inebriated, he would say, let's meditate, Mike. So there was there was a bond that transcended, literally, the ups and downs and the ins and outs and the not-so-fun parts.
And music seems to be the thing. I mean, you co-wrote a song, Pacific Ocean Blue, for Dennis's solo album, Pacific Ocean Blue. What was that? Was that him just phoning you up saying, Mike, I've got a song, can you help?
No, that's because he and I both had this similar outlook on the environment and what's been done to the oceans, what's been done to land. You know, what's been done in so many places in the world where it's so screwed up, environmentally speaking. So, and today we do a song called "Summer in Paradise" on stage with a video of. It's a beautiful song about expressing our concern about the environment. So Dennis and I shared in that feeling, as Bruce and I do, and we're advisory board members of the Surfrider Foundation, which exists to help keep things pristine at the beach.
Can I just ask you, do you read the whole book for the audio version? Have you read the whole book?
Absolutely.
I tell you why, because good. I'm going to get that as well then, because there are two of my favourite stories, very brief. One is Carl Wilson sharing an aeroplane with Mr. T and telling him to shut the F up, which I just think is brilliant. And also I think it's the beginning of chapter 2. You teaching Dennis Wilson about cunnilingus.
Oh boy. Like I said, didn't want to shy away from the truth. Maybe that's too much information.
I read that and I thought, wow, this is where this book is going. This is going to be a great thing.
He was rather fascinated by it, I'll tell you.
Well, you inadvertently, Mike, made a lot of women very happy by passing on that information.
Oh, jeez.
So good for you.
I'm always trying to be helpful.
Mike, you've recorded. Now, I know, because I'm a proper Beach Boys geek, I know you released one solo album, Looking Back with Love. You've also recorded, I think, 2 or 3 other solo albums, and they're doing the rounds as bootlegs. I'm sure you're aware of that. There are dodgy versions of them floating around. Why did they never come out officially, and have you got any plans to release them at any point?
First of all, I've always focused on the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
I'm the one person in the group who's always been there for the last 55 years. Second of all, the changes in the recording industry are so dramatic. You know, it used to be you'd have physical product, albums, LPs, 45s, and, you know, nowadays so much downloading and that kind of thing. So, but that hasn't stopped me from creating songs, as you point out, and I am trying to update some of them so they'll have decent versions to come out with in the near future. I'm thinking the way things are going, I'm hoping that the new year will bring a Mike Love solo effort.
Brilliant. I hope so. I genuinely think that you are one of the most underrated rock lyricists of all time, because you know the lyrics that you wrote for California Girl, all those wonderful songs. It's poetry, man. It's, you know, you made California real to the rest of the world, and you kind of gave teenagers, you know, a voice in a lot of your lyrics, and I just want to thank you for all of those songs that you've written, Mike.
Well, thank you very much. Well, there was a reason where I wasn't, you know, because I wasn't credited on the original issues of those recordings. It gave an inaccurate view of who actually came up with those songs. And unfortunately, I had to go to court to establish that authorship. In fact, even Brian wanted to rectify it without doing all that, but was unable to. But now the truth in my story is now in print and it's for people to read and enjoy and
it really
see
is great
from my perspective what my part of the
what you did with those songs is poetry. What you did with those songs is poetry. That bass voice that you do is just wonderful. Can I ask, and this is a slightly awkward question, I don't mean it to be, but and you address this in the book, which is why I'm confident asking it. There seems to be a strand of people that have are very angry towards you and blame you for all kinds of stuff, you know, for Smile and all blah, 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 blah. How does it feel knowing that some people consider you to be, and here's a lazy term, consider you to be the villain of the Beach Boys?
Well, like, for instance, the Smile thing specifically had nothing to do with shelving that album.
Yeah.
Brian had a bad experience with LSD, and he decided he didn't want to finish it. That was his decision. I recorded on those Smile sessions along with the other guys and did all kinds of strange things and wonderful things. But that was an absolute mischaracterization, absolute falsehood that I had anything to do with it. So, I mean, there are people who are acting or thinking on the basis of false information. So all I can do is give the facts as I live them, and that's going to have to do. Because if somebody's going to be building their opinions based on falsehoods, then I can't, I don't know what to say about that. All I know is I know what I did, I know what I contributed to, and I know what I didn't do. Like, for instance, one of the things I addressed in the book pretty succinctly is it is said that during the Pet Sounds recording project, I said, don't fuck with the formula. Well, I never said that, and I addressed that in the book.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I named the album Pet Sounds, and I went with Brian to play it for Capitol Records. It is they who didn't know what to do with the album, and it wasn't as successful commercially initially as it should have been or could have been had Capitol known what to do with it. Or had we had more sophisticated management. One of the things I say and admit to readily in the book is the Beatles ran circles around us in terms of their PR and their marketing and all that kind of stuff. And we were just, we've always been into making our music and doing our tours, but I don't think we were as savvy back in the day as others have been with their careers.
Mike, listen, we've got 30 seconds left. I'm going to do something I don't normally do. Earlier on in the show, we had a young lady phone up, a young lady called Honey, who could not believe that Mike Love was going to be on my show. I hope you don't mind, Mike. Honey's on the other line. Honey, you've got 30 seconds. What do you want to say to Mike Love?
Oh, my God. Hi, Mike. I want to say that the Beach Boys are, like, the best band ever to me. And I think you're, like, one of the most important members of the Beach Boys, and it's like an injustice that so many people like hate on you for no reason and stuff, and I just love you. Thanks.
There you go, Mike. That's not a bad way to end, is it?
Speaking of Honey, there is an album and that song that I wrote the words to, Wild Honey.
Yeah. That was steady. I know what that's about. Steady on.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Honey, thank you very much. I'm glad we got you through. Mike, listen, it's honestly, I'm grinning like my 15-year-old me is very, very happy. Final question, any chance of any Beach Boys, live DVDs or box sets or anything like that coming out in the near future?
Well, I think there are things that exist from the 50th tour that are out and about.
But no retrospective stuff?
Yeah, more retrospective,
okay.
I believe.
Mike, listen, may God bless you for all of the work that you've done. Honestly, you've enriched my life. You've enriched the lives of my boys and millions of other people. The book is Good Vibrations, My Life as a Beach Boy. It's out next week. It is an absolutely cracking read. Thanks so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you very much. Great talking with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mike Love. Absolute legend. Absolute legend. What a gentleman. Let's just sit for the last 55 seconds of the show and enjoy that vibe, shall we? Shall we? I've literally got nothing else to say on the matter. I've got a dry mouth. I have nothing else to say. So I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to sit and enjoy that very special moment. Thank you, Catherine, for your help sorting that out. I sent her a frantic text saying, You've got an email. You've got to sort this out quick. I thought we were going to lose him. Oh, man alive. Let me just enjoy that moment. Yeah. That was wicked.